Connors, Degrassi, Unpopular Opinions. Hey there, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter Diamond and welcome you to another Degrassi Unpopular Opinion. And this is, I believe, a big unpopular opinion in my mind that you'll probably figure it out. So I've been doing some recently about the Rick Murray situation. I know it doesn't seem to be smart, but there's one I think I overlooked. Now, remember when I said Spinner had the best redemption arc in Degrassi history, and it did have a tie-in with the Rick Murray situation? Well, I'm going to do something else that is kind of into the Rick Murray situation, like tied in. I'm going to announce that this will definitely be an unpopular opinion for a lot of you guys, but my unpopular opinion is that Emma had the biggest aftermath in the Rick Murray situation. Now I'm going to go through all the characters that could have been that and probably who you think. But in a sense, I'm going to say that it's Emma. So here's who had major aftermaths. Well, Rick died, so he definitely didn't have an aftermath. Rick's parents probably had an aftermath, but we didn't know much about them other than Rick's mom being blissfully ignorant during Rick's visitation in Back in Black. Toby had a good aftermath, but it was kind of glossed over. He got back with JT, and basically his character just went downhill again. Manny and Liberty didn't really have an aftermath to do with this. Neither did JT. Although JT and Liberty were partnered up because of their hatred for Raditch. I mean, Ellie had a little bit of an aftermath too. And Craig. Like, Craig had an aftermath. I mean, he's the one who was the first person who saw Jimmy's prone body after being shot. And that may have triggered his bipolar issues. Sean had a big aftermath because in Back in Black, he's the hero. And then all of a sudden, he's scared and he basically admits his faults and almost kills himself through a jet ski accident. I don't know if it was on purpose or not. The camera work said he jumped it off on purpose. Like, Ellie, lost Sean and all that and just had to fend for herself in a sense. Sean goes back to his parents' place crying, saying that he realizes that he shot and killed Rick. Like, it was in self-defense and all that. And Sean probably thought that the police were going to go after him for killing Rick. I think Rick's parents probably would have wanted Sean to pay the price. But because Rick is the school shooter, Rick's parents probably wouldn't get anything to do with anything else. I mean, Jimmy had the big aftermath, of course, being in the wheelchair and trying to find his spot. And then, how were we supposed to know Aubrey Graham was going to turn into the rap mega god Drake? Ashley didn't really have much of an aftermath. Paige kind of had an aftermath, but she basically pushed outside to be with Olander, and that was creepy as fuck. I mean, Jay had an aftermath after Spinner fingers him and, well, the two of them for what they did to have Rick shoot Jimmy in the first place. Jay was expelled. Jay was upset when Spinner actually, in his season 5 redemption, blew Jay off, saying that every time I'm with you, something bad happens, and we should never be friends again. Because Jay just lost an ally. He lost Alex because of the gonorrhea issues, so now he's lost Spinner because Spinner wants to better himself. Jay was right, saying that, Jimmy wouldn't be Spinner's best friend, at least not right away. And Jay, I think, bettered himself, knowing that he couldn't lose people like Spinner. He even officiated at Spinner and Emma's marriage ceremony, in a sense. And, of course, who can forget Raditch having the big aftermath and all that? I mean, the Rick Murray situation cost him to lose his job. I mean, him leaving Rick high and dry was one part of why he was let go. And another part is, it seemed like behind the scenes he may be taking responsibility, but in public, he doesn't tell anyone, doesn't tell the students, probably doesn't tell many staff members, including Simpson, that, he feels bad. He just puts on a brave face, but it becomes egotistical. It's like he doesn't want to admit his faults because he doesn't want the school to rule over him. I think that he was so gung ho on trying to prove to the students he was number one that he basically became number two, as in shit. And of course, the school board got rid of him. Now, it's hard to say why Raj just got reassigned instead of being fired, but there's two reasons. One is that, remember, this is 2004 and not 2021. Things would be so much different 17 years later. And number two is that the school board probably had some guilt over the fact that they let Rick back and Rick was a danger. And they figured that if they fired Raj probably would have sued them and got a settlement. So they basically decided to give Raj a chance to climb back up the ladder. But Raj, I think, didn't take the chance and then just walked away and went to California, if you think. So, yeah, a lot of people had afterwards, but it's got to be Emma. Emma has to be number one. Spinner had a good redemption arc, and yet his aftermath was there because of a redemption arc. But Emma's wasn't really a redemption arc. It was just a downturn, a little bit of a regression, if you ask me. So how does Emma play out in the Rick Murray situation? Well, simple enough. Emma was there when Paige and her clique were upset seeing Rick come back in Mercy Street. And then they warned Emma, he's a tenor. He's in grade 10, so he's in the same grade as you, and he might come for you. Emma basically says, we need to do something about it. Marco and Alex decide to talk to Raj about it. Stupid deleted scene later. Marco is upset. Emma blocks Rick from walking down the hallway. Raj sees it and tells Emma to move. Emma says, we don't want him at school, sir. However, he basically says, this is not one of your stupid causes. I'm warning you, stay out of this. Like, are you freaking nuts, Raj? I know this is all about Emma, but still. So Emma talks to Paige, and Paige says, nobody's willing to help us out, Emma. Oh, we'll find a way to help. And then Emma ends up hanging out with Paige's clique, trying to get in there, trying to find a way to get rid of Rick. Of course, the episode before, she screwed everything up by being petty over the fact that Liberty was going after Chris, even though Emma and Chris were broken up. But Emma just wanted to prevent Chris and Liberty from going up because then Emma would be probably out of earshot, be ridiculed. Since when does Emma care about that? So anyway, yeah, she lost her friends, and basically she tells Liberty and Manny to enjoy your hot tub because I'm sipping on a green tea with Paige and her friends. So they come up with a plan using orange ribbons as a sign of domestic violence to prove to Rick that we don't want him at the school and that domestic violence sucks. All that. Emma's happy, but behind the scenes, Emma doesn't see that the students take this as a bullying cause and beat the shit out of Rick. So Rick is really down the hole. He decides to give Emma more than $500 for the cause. Emma looks at the check, but Alex rips it up. Alex chastises both Rick and Emma. Emma says, you don't know anything about the cause, Alex, but Alex proves that she is wrong, that Emma's wrong, by basically saying that how do you deal with your mother's ex-boyfriends being abusive and having to live in women's shelters and helping her, icing her down and cry herself to sleep. And then Emma is told not to have sympathy for Rick whatsoever. Emma tries to prove to Paige that it was just a fluke by tripping Rick up. Rick goes up to talk to Emma. Spinner and Jay instantly decide to pound him. Alex wants to pound him. Emma says, I'm not letting you do that. Cause is over, Emma, and Emma is now ostracized in a sense. Emma is on the Whack Your Brain team, like the Quiz Bowl, with Toby, Rick, and Heather St. Clair, soon to be replaced by Jimmy. But of course, Emma says that Rick should go to Simpson about the fact that Jimmy's on the Whack Your Brain team because Jimmy's a tour manager. Rick says, I can't do that. So he goes to Radish. Radish pulls him off. But thankfully, though, with Toby getting hurt, Rick does get Jimmy to admit that maybe he isn't who he should be in the bully. And Jimmy stands up to Spinner, Jay, and Alex for Rick in front of them. And Rick, of course, flashes the sign and signs his own death warrant, if you will. Rick thanks Emma for her role. Emma feels good about herself, but doesn't realize how creepy Rick is, especially with the hand holding and the "this is for you." Hope you heard it thing. So, as is, Emma's not too sure about it. She doesn't have any clue Rick has an obsession over her. Although she did say after she protected Rick and near the end of Mercy Street, she said, "This doesn't mean I like you. This means I'm trying to do the right thing." And Rick said, "Yeah, of course." So Emma was covering her bases. But then, all of a sudden, Rick advances on Emma. Rick gets painted and feathered. Emma takes pity on him, but then Rick decides to kiss Emma. And Emma's like, "Rick, what are you doing? I thought you loved me. I pitied you. Get a clue." And then Rick looks forlorn with the trophy and all that. So after Rick gets tricked by Spinner and Jay, he turns his attention, after shooting Jimmy, to Emma, saying that "you made my list. Emma, you toyed with me. You said you liked me, but that was something else." Sean tries to calm Rick down, but Rick doesn't get fooled. He puts the barrel right at Emma, but Sean saves the day. Emma is shocked over everything. She has to witness Simpson and Raj fight over who's responsible and all that. How much responsibility Raj should take. Simpson does admit his guilt, but, that's something different. So Emma seems to be melancholy in a sense. Like, Emma does burst into the media room in Back in Black saying that everyone's staring at me because obviously now they know that Rick was targeting Emma. And then, Emma wanted to be with Sean and was upset when Sean stayed at Wasaga Beach. I think it was a tell that Emma wanted to be with Sean and all that. So, of course, after the shooting, she had the biggest aftermath for many reasons. As I said, in Back in Black, she wanted to be with Sean. It looked like there was romantic sparks. Emma and Sean were a thing twice, and it ruined it. Sean's fuckness ruined his relationship with Emma twice, and Emma wanted to give it another chance. I don't know if she knew that Sean was with Ellie, but anyhow, Sean apologizes for everything he put Emma through the previous year, and Emma says ancient history. I think Emma was willing to put it in past because of Sean. And of course, she was upset when Sean stays in Wasaga. And, Emma for a few episodes seems to be fine, including the Dracula thing, that she seemed normal. But then in secret, we learned that it's not what it seems to be. Emma is withdrawn. She's failing badly in school. She just can't snap out of her funk and all that. Snake and Spike don't know what's going on, but Snake says, "Yeah, you have a gun pointed at you." But it's like, why is Emma not being pressured to get help? Why are people not helping Emma? For the simple fact that Emma, pre-Rick, actually always bounced back from bad situations, and she was a little precocious, if you will. Yeah, her behavior was weird. And, the fights she had with Manny as for her friend. Emma was a good friend to Manny. It was just that her ideas had poor execution. Good idea, poor execution. And it led to a lot of spats and all that. Especially the spat that got Emma excluded from Manny and Liberty in season 4. And of course, Emma dug her own grave. I'm not saying that Emma is faultless. She has fault. So regardless of that, she has the secret. She has problems. She bumps into Jay. She's doing her Dracula stuff after Hatzlackles green lights it again. And then, she goes down to the thing with Jay and connects with Jay, probably as a way to say something about Sean because she misses Sean. And that's probably a tell that she wanted to be with Sean. But regardless of that, she starts doing sexual favors. She starts getting some confidence and some sass back, even though she's doing bad stuff. She gets caught trying to sneak back in. And then she tries to fool Spike and Snake. I don't think they were fooled. Emma wearing an outfit like this to walk at 2 in the morning? Are you nuts? If she was wearing a normal outfit, I think they would have believed her more. But yeah, Snake tries to talk to some sense into Emma and basically was upset over Jay and Emma being together. So is Manny. Emma says, it's oral sex, but at least I'm not getting pregnant. So she's getting her sass back. And then there was a gonorrhea outbreak, and Emma is shunned by the whole school, even though gonorrhea doesn't really, um, well, it did get transferred to Emma, but Emma can't transfer it to somebody else. She's got it, end of the cycle. So basically, Emma is thrown for a loop in Dracula. No one wants to kiss her, and she feels terrible about herself. She tells Jay, "You gave me a social disease." And Jay says, "I loved you because you had virtue." And Emma says, "I don't have virtue right now." And Emma basically tells Spike and Snake that she was trying to cling on to the old Emma that everyone knew and enjoyed in a sense, depending on your POV. But the fact of the matter is that Emma felt bad for Rick dying. And I think she had guilt over the fact that maybe she played a part in the Rick situation. I mean, her cause was taken incorrectly. I mean, it is Paige's fault. Paige's fault in the first place. So I wouldn't blame Emma. I don't blame Emma. But the fact of the matter is simple for this. Emma's aftermath was blown into smithereens after season 4. Okay, season 4, she was recovering from that not really weird boys, although Chester wanted to have a relationship with Emma. And, Chris didn't help himself by trying to pin Emma as a pariah. And then season 5 pops up. Emma wants a new boy, Peter, to notice her and says that I haven't had a boy since Sean blew through my emotional trailer park. And then in unpopular opinion, I said, what did she mean by that statement? Because did she forget about Chris? But to me, it feels like, Sean blew through her emotions. I guess after the Rick Murray situation, like, Sean saved her life in a sense, and then Sean just left for Wasaga. I think Emma was upset with that. They also said, well, Sean in seasons 2 and 3, but then that means they pass over Chris, and it's like, did Emma really like Chris, or was Emma only with Chris to stick it to Sean and Amy? I think Emma didn't really have feelings for Chris. I mean, if Emma had feelings for Chris, then why suddenly after Sean stops being a dick does Emma dump Chris off? So then you got yourself Emma with Peter. Despite the fact that Peter sends Manny flying towards Emma's house because of Manny's dominating her dad, she still has the audacity to date him, especially with the fact that her stepdad, aka Snake, is with Peter's mom, Hatzalakos, with a priest. And Emma starts getting an eating disorder, trying to get control back in her life, forcing Manny to have an eating disorder, which is terrible. I think Emma was trying to deal with things herself. She goes to the hospital after having a panic-induced medical incident. So she has to recover from her eating disorder. She seems fine and all that. And then season 6, she's still with Peter. Everything's good. Manny has given the green light to the relationship. And then Sean, for some strange reason, comes back. He came back for Emma, thinking that the only good thing in life with him is Emma. Of course, he's shocked over Emma's stuff after Sean left for Wasaga, especially being with Jay, even though Jay vouches for Emma, saying that, it was what it was. Sean is angry, but then Sean ends up, staying behind and wants to be with Emma for a good reason. He liked Emma, and he didn't want to blow a chance to be with Emma ever again. So, yeah, so Emma has a love triangle with Peter and Sean. Even though Peter planted drugs in Sean's locker and did the street racing, Emma's still drawn towards Peter more so than Sean. Emma thinks that Peter is the good guy and Sean's the bad guy. Maybe it was because Sean left Emma so high and dry that Emma was upset. But she still had feelings for Sean, even though that, she feels great. However, Manny and Jay force Emma to realize that Peter was the bad guy, and Peter ended up putting drugs in Emma's locker. Putting a mask in Emma's locker, saying that he does the combination because of his mom's list. And then Emma realizes that Peter was the bad guy and dumps Peter off, and Peter's upset and all that. So, yeah, so Emma then has the issue with the JT stabbing happen step from her house, and then she blows up at Manny and all that. If Manny was willing to help Emma through the JT process, I think Emma would have calmed down and Emma would not have been such a dick to Manny. Of course, then, later on, season 7, 8, 9, she ends up being more boy crazy and more friend crazy in a sense. And we can all wrap it up with the Rick situation. Because simply enough, Emma didn't have a boyfriend, and Emma didn't have any friends in the Rick Murray situation, and she probably thought that she was dead meat, and that if someone like Rick was going to come attach her, she could have had the situation with a gun in her face. And let's not forget the other part is her causes. Like after season 4, how many causes did she take up? Not so much, except for trying to help Manny move in with her because of her dad's problems. Getting a lawyer for Sean, even though that she's still with Peter, and the Purple Dragon stuff. Let's not forget that with Recycle in season 9. I mean, honest to goodness, that's it. Emma would have had more causes and more things to fight for till season 4, but she didn't. She had a rarity, and people thought that that wasn't right. Emma probably figured that she caused a whole lot of damage, and she herself realized that her causes were bad and maybe stopped the causes because she thought that the next cause would have probably had her killed. I doubt it highly. I really do. But the fact of the matter is that Emma screwed up, and she thought she screwed up, and it was like an admission of guilt. She shouldn't have that guilt. The system failed Rick. She didn't. The fact of the matter is that, yeah, the writers screwed up. They basically wrote her glow up, as in being boy crazy and all that. She had the glow, and it ruined Emma's character. And I think Emma was a little more hated than pre-season 4. So yeah, that's just how I feel. Sorry about that. It's just how I roll. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.